Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another pre-recorded lesson video. It is our first one for Module 2. So today we're going to be going over Lesson 2. Yesterday was Lesson 1, and I didn't have a pre-recorded lesson video for that because I thought it was a pretty straightforward lesson. I just wanted y'all to watch the video and read the articles, build up some background knowledge over World War I, and basically just figuring out, what countries entered the war, why they entered the war, and basically the events that led to the end of the war, essentially. That's because the book that we're going to be reading, All Quiet on the Western Front, that's the book we're reading in Module 2. It's about World War I, and it's following a soldier's perspective on the war and the effects on the body and the mind, right, as the war goes on, and how they evolve as people and how they sort of get broken down and how war breaks them down. Okay, but today we're going to be focusing on Lesson 2. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over those articles one more time. Again, I have those uploaded into your folders for the day, okay? So again, the intro is I want y'all to answer what is one of the major events or developments that caused a country to enter the conflict of World War I and why. If you watch the videos and if you read the articles, then you should know one of the major events that caused just one country to enter. Remember the major countries that fought in World War I were Germany, Austria-Hungary, the U.S., France, and Great Britain, and Russia, right? Those are the major countries. Italy, Japan, and Serbia, they were all involved, and the Ottoman Empire, they're all involved, but they didn't play as big parts as the other countries did, right? So just some of the major events, and to help you out with this, I actually created a timeline, and I actually uploaded this into the folder. Don't mind the whole premium watermark in the background. I couldn't find a really good timeline maker without this. So it's basically showing the date from 1914 all the way to 1919. So this is basically all the dates and major events that happened in the war. You see right here the big clump or the big cluster. It's basically where the countries start declaring war on each other and what led to the war, right? It's Franz Ferdinand. He was a diplomat for Austria-Hungary. He gets assassinated by a Serbian spy, and that's basically what starts off the chain reaction of countries declaring war on each other, right? Great Britain enters the war after Germany's invasion of Belgium. Germany torpedoes British passenger ship Lusitania, and that actually had a lot of American civilians on it. That's when the American public opinion started swaying, and the American civilians slowly started wanting to join the war. And then around this time in the 1916s or early 1917s, Germany starts destroying American ships, and that's what leads to the U.S. entering World War I around April in 1917, and then in 1918, late 1918, World War ends. The Treaty of Versailles gets signed, and peace happens. Right, so this is a timeline of all the major events from the two articles I gave you. These aren't all the major events in World War I. These are just the major events that the two articles went over, okay? Then we are going into it. Now, I just wanted to go over patriotism and nationalism because I thought this was pretty important, and these two words are going to be coming up a lot throughout the book. So patriotism and nationalism, what that means is I have the definition right here. Patriotism is to have a deep loyalty and love for the country where one was born or identifies as a citizen. So this is basically, you were born in the country and you have a loyalty to it, right? You love the country, right? And you identify as a citizen of that country. Nationalism is patriotism on steroids, essentially. Nationalism means a feeling that people have of being proud of their country, often with the belief that is better than other countries. So patriotism is, you just love your country where you're from, right? Nationalism is you love your country and you're proud of being from that country, but you believe that your country is better than other countries, right? So nationalism is a kind of patriotism gone wild. There's more intense set of beliefs than patriotism, and people use words like infected and dangerous whenever they talk about nationalism. And nationalism is actually a leading cause of wars, right? People, whenever they have nationalist beliefs of where they believe their country is better than other countries, they believe that they can invade that other country and take over their land because they're better, right? So that is a really big leading cause of major wars, especially throughout history. World War One was because of nationalism beliefs. World War Two again was because of nationalism beliefs. And a cool example I thought would be if y'all created your own similes or metaphors for nationalism and patriotism. An example is patriotism is like rain, and nationalism is like a hurricane. Um, Another one is patriotism is like love, and nationalism is like an obsession, right? So I want y'all to write down some of these in like your digital journal. I thought it'd be really cool if I went through and see if y'all are getting similes and metaphors, and if you can make a good comparison to patriotism and nationalism. So moving on. So the learning goals is by the end of this lesson, you're going to know a crucial factor leading to one's country to join World War One. You're going to be able to understand a crucial factor leading to one country's decision to join World War One. So again, sort of the same. And you're going to be able to determine and explain a crucial factor leading to one's country decision to join World War One using effective evidence. So again, all three are very similar. That's the main focus of today's lesson. Is we're going to look into one leading factor into each country's decision to join World War One, essentially. Okay. So the essential question is, how do literature and art illuminate the effects of World War One? So last lesson we sort of went over illuminate. So we're going to be looking at a lot of text and that go along with the book, and a lot of visual art like photographs, paintings, things like that. And by illuminate, it basically means explains or informs us the effects of World War One. That's one of the main things that we're going to be looking at for this module is the psychological effects, the mental effects of war and World War One, and on the main characters of the book. The focusing question is, why did countries and individuals join World War One? That's also a very big thing that's happening in this lesson. We're going to look at reasons why the countries joined, right? And the content framing question is, what's happening in the two articles about World War One? Okay, remember those two articles I uploaded for y'all yesterday? We're going to be going over them specifically, and we're going to be looking at major events that happened, okay? So the first article is War to End All Wars. We're not going to be looking at like every single paragraph. They're long articles. I just took some very important ones, and I want y'all to look at these articles and figure out what the major event that is happening in this one is, okay? So I'm going to read it for y'all. Over the previous 10 years, Otto von Bismarck, Germany's Iron Chancellor, had united the Teutonic States by picking fights with other nations and using the conflicts to unify his people. In 1882, to keep France isolated, Germany joined with Austria-Hungary and Italy in the Triple Alliance. However, Italy sided against during World War I, however, Italy sided against Germany and Austria-Hungary. By 1907, partially in response to the Triple Alliance, France and Russia and Great Britain had joined together to form the Triple Entente. These alliances aggravated the already tense situation in Europe by engaging in a competition to see which alliance could accumulate the strongest military force. So I want you to take a little bit of time and figure out what you think the major event that is happening in this paragraph is, and then come back to this video, okay? Okay, so welcome back. So the major event that's happening in this article, or this paragraph of the article, is that the European countries are slowly preparing for war, right? They're all having alliances. There's already a lot of tension happening, right? So the countries are preparing for war, essentially. And why the countries, there's such tense situations there is each country wants more land, essentially, right? They think that their country deserves more land, that their country is better than the other countries, and they want to expand their country already, right? So allying, they're getting friends so that, they have reinforcements whenever war does happen, right? Second one is on June 28, 1914, Archduke Francis or Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife, Sophie, were in the empire's Slavic-dominated region of Bosnia. There, Gavrilo Princip, a Serbian nationalist, assassinated them. So I want you to think about what the major event that is happening in this one is, and then come back to this video, okay? Okay, so welcome back. So the main event that's happening in this paragraph, and it's a really important paragraph, is that Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austrian Hungarian throne, got assassinated, right? And they got assassinated by a Serbian nationalist. Remember, nationalist is someone that loves their country and thinks that their country is better than others. So a person from Serbia that thinks Serbia is better than Austria-Hungary murdered the person meant to be the next king of Austria-Hungary, right? And this is basically the first step into what caused World War I and why each country started declaring war on each other, right? Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, which led Germany declaring war on Serbia, and Russia, and Serbia were allies, so Russia declared war on Germany, and it led to all the alliances supporting each other and declaring war on the others, right? So next is Austria-Hungary's harsh ultimatum to Serbia, including the demands to stop anti-Austrian propaganda and to dismiss anti-Austrian government officials, was rejected. The empire, with the unconditional backing of Germany, declared war on Serbia on July 28. In time, the Ottoman Empire, present-day Turkey, and Bulgaria, who had lost territory to Serbia in the Balkan Wars, joined Germany, becoming part of the Central Powers. So again, you know the drill. Point out what you think the main event that is happening in this paragraph and come back to this video. Okay, so welcome back. So the main event that's happening in this that video paragraph is Austria-Hungary declaring war, right? This is the start of World War I. Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia, and they have Germany behind them, right? Because of the alliance. So they declare war on Serbia, and the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria also join, and they form the Central Powers, which makes up one side of World War I. So the last one I want to go over is Russia came to Serbia's aid. Then Germany declared war on Russia August 1st, and France August 3rd. Following Germany's invasion of neutral Belgium on August 4th, Great Britain entered the war. Russia, France, and Great Britain then became known as the Allies. So you know the drill, main event, then come back to this video, okay? Okay, so welcome back. So the main event that's happening in this paragraph is the other side of World War I, and who's on it, right? The Allies. So Russia had a treaty or a alliance with Serbia. So, since Russia had to help Serbia, Germany declared war on Russia, and France actually had an alliance with Russia. So since Russia's in war, France has to join them. So that led to Germany declaring war on both. And Germany, if you watch the video, Germany went into Belgium because it wanted to go around the French defense, right, on their border, and it wanted to go through Belgium and hit France on the side. But since Belgium wasn't even a part of the war and Germany invaded it, Great Britain saw that as a hostile act. So Great Britain ended up joining. And you see how quick everything happened, right? Germany declared on August 1st and August 3rd, and then Great Britain immediately joined on August 4th. So everything happened very quickly, and this sets up the other side of the war. So now we have the Central Powers and now the Allies, right? So that was basically what I thought were some of the main paragraphs in the first article, War to End All Wars. So we're going to get into the next article, okay? The next article is The Peace President Goes to War. Okay, so the first paragraph I want to go over is another factor adding to European tensions was the rise of nationalism, a kind of patriotism gone wild. Nations infected with this dangerous feeling often felt superior to other countries and jealous of their territories. So you all know the deal. What do you think is happening in this paragraph, and then come back to this video, okay? Okay, so the main thing that's happening in this, I keep saying video, but paragraph is Europe is getting ready for war, right? Well, I talked about in the intro that nationalism is a leading cause of a lot of wars. Countries feeling that they're better than each other and thinking they deserve more land, right? They felt jealous of the other country's territories and they want them, right? So this is basically setting the tension in Europe and saying, hey, these countries are ready for war, right? Next one is Germany did not invent the submarine, but was the first nation to use it on a large scale in wartime. In answer to Britain's naval blockade of Germany, these U-boats, undersea boats, began attacking without warning any ship approaching or leaving Great Britain. On May 7th, 1915, the unarmed British passenger ship Lusitania was torpedoed by a U-boat and sunk off the Irish coast. Among the 1,198 people who died were 128 Americans. So again, main event, then come back to this video, okay? Okay, so the main event that's happening in this paragraph is the German U-boats, or submarines, blew up a Britain ship, a passenger ship which had a lot of civilians, the Lusitania. And on that ship, there were 128 Americans. So this caused a lot of American citizens to lash out in anger and say, hey, Germany's killing American civilians now, like people that weren't even involved in the war. We should start getting involved. Americans before this point did not want to join. Okay, America was against the war. They did not want to do it. They wanted peace. But after this happened, the public opinion started turning. Okay, this is a very big part in the war. Next one is most Americans are satisfied with their president's peacetime leadership. In 1916, they re-elected Wilson because, as his campaign slogan proclaimed, he kept us out of war. Still fearing that the United States would be drawn into the fighting before it ended, Wilson proposed a peace without victory early the following year. By this, he hoped to avoid the bitter feelings caused by a victor's terms imposed upon the vanquished. So again, main event that is happening in this paragraph, and then come back to this video, okay? So the main event that's happening in this is that Woodrow Wilson, the president of the United States at that time, got reelected. Right, a lot of Americans liked him because he kept America out of World War I for a really long time. Remember, a lot of American citizens did not want to join the war, but public opinion started turning whenever Germany started sinking more United States ships. So this is Wilson getting reelected and him sort of seeing that the United States could eventually join World War I, right? That they may not have any other choice. So the last one is, yet the Great War moved relentlessly closer. Within days of Wilson's plea for peace without victory, Germany again stepped up its submarine offensive. Soon afterward, a secret telegram came to light that outlined a German plot to draw Mexico into the war against the United States. When the Kaiser's U-boats sank 3 U.S. merchant ships in March, President Wilson could hold out no longer. On April 2nd, 1917, he appeared before Congress. So again, main event in this paragraph, and then come back, okay? Okay, so the main event in this one is the Germans are sinking more U.S. ships, right? And they even tried to get Mexico into the war with the United States. The United States at this point were mostly keeping out of it. They were helping out the Allies with some supplies and money, but they were, keeping out of the fighting essentially over there in Europe. But since, Germany kept sinking the U.S. ships and they tried to get Mexico involved, President Wilson saw that he had no other choice. So on April 2nd, 1917, he appears before Congress to ask them to declare war on Germany for the United States to enter World War I. Okay? So hopefully you're sort of seeing all all of the major events in both articles and what caused a lot of countries to, join World War One. Again, this timeline is all the events that had dates in those articles, right? So Great Britain enters, Germany declares war, Franz Ferdinand gets assassinated, things like that, right? I think this timeline would be good, and I'll start adding onto this timeline more and more as we go, okay? But that's basically it. I did have a Padlet assignment if you want to do it. This is basically where you put your name. Y'all know the drill. What I want you to do is summarize the second article, "The Peace President Goes to War," in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, I want you to summarize that article in 1 or 2 sentences. That is it. Remember, yesterday's lesson 1, was about figuring out which countries joined, why they joined, right? Today's lesson was about the important events in the war and, again, looking at each country's specific reason into joining, okay? If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, you know how to reach me. Message me on Schoology, question board, email me, right? I will answer you in any as soon as I possibly can. Also, sign up for the Classroom Mind. You could also message me on a Remind if you want a really immediate response because it goes straight to my phone. But other than that, if you don't have any questions, then I will see you here for the next pre-recorded lesson video, okay?